Good morning. This committee will come to order. Today, the committee will consider the fiscal year 2025 302B subcommittee allocations and the fiscal year 2025 appropriations bills recommended by the Subcommittee on Legislative Branch, the Subcommittee on Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration and related agencies, and the Subcommittee on Military Construction, Veterans Affairs, and related agencies. Before we get going, let me quickly run through the plan for today. I will start us off with some opening remarks. Next, the Vice Chair will give her opening remarks, and then I will open the floor for debate on the subcommittee allocations. And then as soon as possible, I intend to begin the votes on adopting the 302B subcommittee allocations and final passage of the Ledge Branch Bill, the Ag Bill, and the Milcon VA Bill. We have a number of other committees who are meeting this morning and a very short window to have all of our members here. So I ask everyone to be here as soon as possible so we can have full attendance and move those votes. Following the 4 votes, we will then move to the consideration of amendments to each of the bills. So with that, I want to thank all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, committee staff, Vice Chair Collins, and our subcommittee leaders, Senators Reed and Fisher on the Ledge Branch Subcommittee, Senators Heinrich and Hoeven on the Agriculture Subcommittee, and Senators Sinema and Bozeman on the Milcon VA Subcommittee, who have put in very hard work to pull together 3 strong bipartisan bills. This hasn't been easy, it never is. However, as we kick off our first markup, I am determined to show, and I know the Vice Chair feels the same way, that when we work hard, work together, and focus on helping people back home, we can write strong bipartisan bills that help meet our nation's greatest challenges and they can actually get passed into law. That's exactly what this committee did last year, and I hope we will be able to do it again this year. Now, there's no shortage of serious funding challenges we're facing in the coming year. And as I made clear alongside many members on both sides of the aisle, the 1% increase in funding that the FRA provides for non-defense and defense alike in FY25 is simply inadequate. It doesn't come close to keeping up with inflation and rising costs, much less allow us to meet new challenges and invest in families and in our country's future. I have warned that if we don't work to address the inadequate funding levels, we're not simply looking at treading water, we are looking at cuts to services people count on each and every day and jeopardizing investments that keep our country strong, everything from WIC and housing assistance to our investments in life-saving medical research to our efforts to keep our communities safe and stay ahead of our adversaries, and so much more. That is why I've been very clear we cannot leave non-defense needs behind as we consider additional funding for defense. Because bottom line, a core principle for me is to make sure we're never leaving families behind. So I'm pleased that Vice Chair Collins and I reached a bipartisan agreement to provide much needed additional funding for non-defense and defense alike. The agreement will provide an additional $13.5 billion in emergency funding for non-defense programs and $21 billion for defense programs beyond the FRA levels. This additional funding in our bipartisan agreement is crucial. It will help make sure we can address serious shortfalls, tackle urgent new challenges here at home and abroad, prevent devastating layoffs and cutbacks to services, and invest in families and our country's future. This will help families keep a roof over their head, help us address issues like combating the opioid crisis. When it comes to growing our economy, this is going to help us keep our edge and address the child care crisis that is holding our nation back. When it comes to our global leadership, this is going to help us build on the investments we delivered in the National Security Supplemental that Congress passed to keep our nation safe, stand against dictators like Putin, counter the growing influence of the Chinese government, and strengthen deterrence to prevent conflict. We still have a lot of work ahead of us to go from top lines to final passage of strong bipartisan bills. But we are making real progress today, bipartisan progress with an agreement to address inadequate top-line funding levels as well as considering the first set of strong bipartisan bills. I'll have more to say on each of these 3 bills shortly, but together they deliver critical resources to get moms and babies vital nutrition assistance, veterans the care they have earned and deserve, support families in our rural communities, protect America's food supply, make sure our capital remains a safe place for all to come and visit, strengthen our posture in the Indo-Pacific, and more. Now, before we vote on each bill, we will consider the 302B allocations to the 12 subcommittees. The chairman of the Budget Committee has given this committee a 302A allocation pursuant to the Fiscal Responsibility Act and the Congressional Budget Act. Our vote today will be on the proposal to allocate the total budget authority and outlay levels provided to us by the 302A across the 12 subcommittees. For the awareness of members, neither the 302A or the 302Bs include any of the adjustments agreed to as part of the FRA agreement or the additional emergency funding that Vice Chair Collins and I have agreed to. Similar to last year, those amounts will be added later as we move to those bipartisan bills throughout the process. In moving forward today with these strong bipartisan bills, I have no doubt we will be setting this process off in the right direction. And I will continue to work with Vice Chair Collins and all of my colleagues to keep us going full steam ahead. I will now turn to Vice Chair Collins for any comments she would like to make.
Thank you very much, Chair Murray. Let me begin by commending you for convening today's markup. Last year, this committee reported all 12 annual funding bills for the first time in 5 years. While the discretionary spending contained in those bills accounts for only about a quarter of the total federal budget, they include vital investments for our communities and funding for our national security. Today is another important step forward to proving that the committee process last year was not an aberration, but rather a pattern. This committee can and must do its work. We're never going to agree on everything, but it's important that we try to find common ground and allow senators and the constituents they represent a voice in the development of the annual appropriations bills. It is with that spirit of cooperation and duty that we find ourselves here today. Our members have been very busy for months analyzing the president's budget request, holding nearly 40 hearings, and drafting legislation. The bills we consider today are a product of that intensive effort. They fund important priorities, including agricultural research, food and medical product safety, veterans medical care, U.S. military infrastructure, and legislative branch offices that support Congress as we carry out our constitutional responsibilities. I hope that this year the Majority Leader makes Senate consideration of the appropriations bills a priority and brings them to the floor as soon as possible. It is critical that Congress complete its work to prevent the Fiscal Responsibility Act's statutory penalty for operating under a continuing resolution, better known as the CR, from being triggered. Under current law, if any portion of the government is operating under a short-term CR on January 1st, the discretionary caps will reset to levels that are 1% less than the fiscal year 2023 enacted amounts. Let me repeat that fact. The penalty caps are 1% less than the fiscal 2023 levels, not the fiscal year 2024 levels, a fact that is too often misunderstood. The revised caps would be enforced on April 30th unless Congress enacts full year funding for all 12 of the annual appropriations bills. For defense, a revised cap would result in a 5.1% lesser amount than the already inadequate fiscal year 2025 base funding limit specified in the FRA. This would be devastating for our national security at a time when global threats are the highest in half a century. Sending a message that Congress cannot work together to adequately protect this nation and our allies would be unacceptable and must be prevented. Today's markup brings us a step closer to preventing the FRA's CR penalty from being triggered. With regard to the chair's 302B subcommittee allocations that we will vote on shortly, I very much appreciate the work that Chair Murray has put into developing the allocations, and I understand the challenges posed by the FRA structure. Nevertheless, I have three chief concerns. First, I believe that the reduction of regular national security funding for the Defense Subcommittee is unwarranted. Because of defense increases to other subcommittees, the Defense Subcommittee starts the cycle at a level that is $2 billion below the President's already inadequate request. Second, I have concern about how some of the non-defense spending is allocated. While the Milcom VA allocation is sufficient to fully fund the President's request for VA medical care, I share the concerns that Senator Boozman raised during the budget hearing regarding the reliance of the President's budget request on carryover balances to meet operational needs. Finally, there remains a respectful disagreement on the offsets that should be used to comport to the FRA levels. Turning now to the fiscal year 2025 funding bills, the first bill to be considered is the Legislative Branch Appropriations Bill. Let me join the chair in commending Chairman Reed and Ranking Member Fisher for their hard work on this bill that provides funding for the U.S. Capitol Police, the Government Accountability Office, the Library of Congress, and a host of other important offices. The agency's funding here allow Congress to do its work in a transparent and accountable way and keep visitors to the Capitol complex safe while meeting with their representatives. The next bill that we will consider funds the Agriculture Department, Food and Drug Administration, and related agencies. I very much appreciate the work of Chairman Heinrich and Ranking Member Hoeven on this important bill that supports our farmers, the safety of our food supply, critical federal nutrition programs, and medical research and advancements. The final bill that we will consider today is the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs legislation. I want to thank Senator Sinema and Senator Boozman for their hard work on this legislation that invests in our military infrastructure and provides vital resources for the benefit and care of our nation's veterans. And while I continue to have concerns that the VA's request is overly reliant on carryover balances, I certainly will support moving the bill forward today. Again, I want to thank the full committee chair and all the members of this committee for your hard work. We still have a long ways to go, and we'll have to work together to continue to construct bills that can receive bipartisan support. But today's markup is an important and necessary first step. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I will turn to Senator Durbin to make the usual and customary motion on the subcommittee allocation.
Madam Chair, I move that the committee report favorably the subcommittee allocations proposed by the chair, provided that the chair and vice chair of the committees, after consultation with the chairs and ranking members of the affected subcommittees, be authorized to submit such revised allocations as are necessary to expedite our consideration and enactment of the fiscal year 2025 appropriation bills.
Without objection? Thank you, Senator Durbin. I would like to remind everyone that we will begin votes as soon as we can to have all of our members present in the room. A number of members have to leave for other committees. Are there any members who wish to be recognized for debate on the 302B proposal?
Yes.
Senator Schatz.
Chair, thank you very much, and I'm pleased to vote for both the allocations and the marks. Just want to flag the President submitted a $23.5 billion emergency supplemental for disaster aid. Maui, Maryland, Florida, Texas, New Mexico, many other states are still awaiting disaster aid. This is something that we have always done on a bipartisan basis, both as a committee and as a Congress and as a country, and we've got to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. We are committed to doing a disaster supplemental. We will stay in touch on that conversation. Thank you. We do need to move to the vote on this. Senator Kennedy, would you mind having the vote first, or do you want to have your statement made?
I want to have my statement.
Okay. And then I would really ask everyone if we could do it.
I'll be
conversation
brief, Madam
after.
Chair.
Okay.
I think you and our Vice Chair have done a fine job. I know how hard it is to put together a budget. I think we're all aware these are pretend votes today. Everybody's all of my Democratic colleagues are going to vote for the 302B allocations, and all the Republicans are going to vote no, which means, of course, we don't have an agreement. I think it's smart to move forward, but my question is this, Madam Chair, to you and our esteemed Vice Chair. When are we going to get serious about the 302B allocations? When are we going to work it out?
I will just tell you that, yes, you all know we finished our last year's allocations in March. We immediately began serious discussions on this. We are very close to where we need to be, and we'll continue those discussions. We know that that needs to be accomplished.
And I would add, Senator Kennedy, that the motion on the 302B allocations recognizes that there can be further adjustments. So it's not over till it's over.
I just want to get us started. And it seems to me that you can't put together a budget until you know how much you have to spend. And I appreciate the spirit of cooperation. I think we ought to move forward. But we all know these are pretend votes. This is play acting until we can agree on 302Bs.
Yeah, under the committee rules, we are going to move forward right now to accomplish that. We will continue to work together. We want to get the process started.
My work here is done.
Thank you. It is now time to start the votes, and I note the presence of a quorum. As you know, Senator Durbin made the usual and customary motion to adopt the 302Bs. We will now vote on the 302Bs for the 12 subcommittees. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Durbin.
Aye.
Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Tester.
Aye.
Senator Shaheen. Aye. Senator Merkley. Aye. Senator Coons.
Aye.
Senator Schatz. Senator Baldwin. Aye. Senator Murphy. Aye. Senator Manchin. Senator Van Hollen. Aye. Senator Heinrich. Aye. Senator Peters. Aye. Senator Sinema. Aye. Senator Collins.
No.
Senator McConnell. Senator Murkowski. No. Senator Graham.
No.
Senator Moran. Senator Hoeven. Senator Bozeman. Senator Capito. Senator Kennedy. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Haggerty.
No.
Senator Britt. Senator Rubio. Senator Fisher. And Senator Murray.
Aye.
Senator Murray, I also have a proxy from Senator McConnell to vote no on this amendment, which does count.
Without objection. On this vote, there are 15 ayes, 11 nays. The subcommittee 302B allegations are agreed to. I will now turn to Senator Collins to make the customary motions for the legislative branch, Ag and Milcon VA bills.
Madam Chair, I move that the committee report favorably an original bill making appropriations for the legislative branch for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes. An original bill making appropriations for agriculture, rural development, Food and Drug Administration, and related agencies for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes, and an original bill making appropriations for military construction, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and related agencies for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes, provided that each bill be subject to amendment and that each bill be consistent with its budget allocation, provided further that the chair of the committee or the chair of the subcommittee reporting the original bill be authorized to offer the substance of the original bill as a committee amendment in the nature of a substitute to the House companion measure, provided further that the staff be authorized to make technical and conforming changes to all fiscal year 2025 bills and reports as necessary.
Without objection, we will now vote to report the legislative branch bill favorably, subject to amendment. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Durbin.
Aye.
Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Tester. Senator Shaheen. Senator Merkley. Senator Coons. Senator Schatz. Senator Baldwin. Senator Murphy. Senator Manchin. Senator Van Hollen. Senator Heinrich. Senator Peters. Senator Sinema. Senator Collins.
Aye.
Senator McConnell.
Senator McConnell is going to be aye on all three bills, and at the appropriate time, I'll ask for that permission.
Senator Murkowski. Aye. Senator Graham.
Aye.
Senator Moran. Aye. Senator Hoven. Senator Bozeman. Senator Capito. Senator Kennedy. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Haggerty.
Aye.
Senator Britt. Aye. Senator Rubio. Senator Fisher. And Senator Murray.
Aye. On this vote, there are 26 ayes, 1 nay. The motion to report the bill favorably is agreed to. Next, we will vote to report the Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration and related agencies bill favorably, subject to amendment. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Durbin.
Aye.
Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Tester. Senator Shaheen. Aye. Senator Merkley. Senator Coons. Senator Schatz. Senator Baldwin. Senator Murphy. Senator Manchin. Senator Van Hollen. Senator Heinrich. Senator Peters. Senator Sinema. Senator Collins.
Aye.
Senator McConnell. Senator Murkowski.
Aye.
Senator Graham.
Aye.
Senator Moran.
Aye.
Senator Hoven.
Yes.
Senator Bozeman. Senator Capito. Senator Kennedy. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Haggerty.
Aye.
Senator Britt. Senator Rubio. Senator Fisher. And Senator Murray.
Aye.
Madam Chair, would you correct the prior vote? I voted aye or yes, not nay.
It's that accent. We didn't get.
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry. Without objection.
You can say without objection.
Without objection, on that vote, there will be 27 ayes, 0 nays. The motion is favorably voted. On this vote, there are 27 ayes and 0 nays. The motion to report the bill favorably is agreed to. And finally, we vote to report the Military Construction, Veterans Affairs, and related agencies appropriations bill favorably, subject to amendment. Clerk will call the roll.
Senator Durbin.
Aye.
Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Tester. Senator Shaheen. Senator Merkley. Senator Coons. Senator Schatz. Senator Baldwin. Senator Murphy. Senator Manchin. Senator Van Hollen. Senator Heinrich. Senator Peters. Senator Sinema. Senator Collins.
Aye.
Senator McConnell. Senator Murkowski.
Aye.
Senator Graham. Senator Moran. Senator Hoven. Senator Bozeman. Senator Capito. Senator Kennedy. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Haggerty.
Aye.
Senator Britt. Senator Rubio. Senator Fisher. And Senator Murray.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Wait till they report.
Okay, sorry.
On this vote, there are 27 ayes, 0 nays. The motion to report the bill favorably is agreed to. Senator Collins, you have another motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a courtesy to the leaders, Senator McConnell has asked to be recorded as present and voting no on the 302B allocations, yes on the legislative branch appropriations bill, yes on the Ag Rural Development FDA bill, and yes on the military construction VA and related agencies bill. I ask that the committee grant this request as it would not set a formal precedent, nor would it change any vote outcomes.
So ordered.
I thank the chair for granting that request. I would further just note for the record that had Senators Rubio and Capito been able to attend, they would have voted in favor of passage of all three bills considered today.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Collins. We will now,
May
Senator
I
Moran.
ask unanimous consent to be recorded as a no on the 302Bs? I was absent when the vote was taken.
Yes, without objection. On that vote, on the 302Bs, there are now 15 A's, 12 nays, and the subcommittee allocations are agreed to. We will now turn to consideration of the legislative branch appropriations bill. I want to thank Senators Reid and Senators Fisher for working together, producing a very strong bipartisan bill. And I want to thank the staff as well for working to get the bill ready for this first markup. From supporting the work we do in this building to all the constituent service work we do for folks back home, I'm glad we were able to put together a bill that makes the investments necessary to help Congress serve the American people. The bill provides funding increases that are crucial to making sure we're able to serve the American people effectively, funding for government watchdogs like the GAO, funding for CBO, which provides essential insight as we craft legislation, of course, funding for our Capitol Police, who work around the clock, nights, weekends, holidays, you name it, to make sure that we are safe, as well as our staff and everyone who visits the nation's capital. I will leave it to our great subcommittee leadership to say more about their bill, and I believe they have a manager's package as well. So we begin with Senator Reid.
Thank you, Chair Murray. The legislative branch bill is the smallest the committee produces each year, but it's also one of the most important because it helps ensure strong oversight, efficiency, and productivity, not just for our branch of government, but across the federal government. Our goal is to ensure the government works properly and is responsive to the American people. This bill provides targeted investments to make the legislative branch more effective, serve the public, and hold the entire government to account. It invests in key watchdog functions of nonpartisan agencies like the Government Accountability Office, which helps enhance transparency and accountability throughout the federal government and save taxpayers' money. It provides needed funding and infrastructure to safeguard the Capitol complex and keep it accessible to the public. The bill also invested in modernization at the Library of Congress, and it prioritizes operations at the Congressional Budget Office, the Joint Economic Committee, and the Government Publishing Office, which are crucial to providing lawmakers with trusted information and keeping the American public well informed. Together, our mission as appropriators is to ensure these key departments and federal agencies better serve the American people both now and in the future. To achieve that goal, our bill continues to focus on investments in four main areas to ensure that the legislative process is fulfilled: security, oversight, campus operations, and constituent services. The bill provides funding to ensure we are supporting our most important resource as legislators, our workforce, who, as everyone here knows, go above and beyond to serve the American people. Without the workforces of the Senate, the United States Capitol Police, the Library of Congress, the Architect of the Capitol, the Government Accountability Office, and so many more, we would not be able to effectively perform our roles as senators. I believe that this legislative branch appropriations package is a solid bipartisan bill. I would like to thank Ranking Member Fisher and her staff, Lucas Agnew and Molly McCarty, for working closely with us to draft the legislative bill and report. We share a common agreement on the importance of advancing this bill. I'd also like to thank my team, Richard Braddock and Caitlin Hamilton, for their dedicated work, and my office staff, Jackie Misch and Ryan Gologly. Our respective staff spent countless hours working together to craft this bill and report to ensure that the legislative branch agencies have the necessary and most critical tools to achieve their missions. Neither side got everything they wanted, but we continue to find common ground on many important things that will allow the Senate and the legislative branch agencies to perform their important work on behalf of the American people. For instance, the bill provides funding to support our Capitol Police, whose officers keep us safe each and every day, and provides the tools that the department needs to keep the Capitol safe and secure. It also provides the architect of the Capitol with resources to maintain the critical operations of the building and grounds within the Capitol complex. It ensures that the Government Accountability Office, the Congressional Research Service, and the Congressional Budget Office have the staff and resources needed to conduct the critical analysis, oversight, and research to support the work of the Senate. And it provides funding to support programs that allow the Senate to be a workplace of choice to ensure that we can hire and retain the most talented workforce possible, which again is critical to our collective success as an institution. I urge my colleagues, in fact, I commend my colleagues for voting in favor of this strong bipartisan spending bill to fund our legislative branch. Madam Chair, that concludes my comments. I would like to offer a manager's package for consideration at the appropriate time.
Very good. Senator Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to thank you and Vice Chair Collins for your work in moving the appropriations process forward. I'm also grateful to the chairman of our subcommittee, Senator Reid, for his leadership in drafting the FY 2025 legislative branch appropriations bill. I appreciate Senator Reid's commitment to crafting a bipartisan bill that meets the needs of Congress and our support agencies in a fiscally responsible manner. The bill continues to build on the strategic investments we have made in the legislative branch to improve Congress's security, oversight role, and overall legislative capacity to work on behalf of the American people. It provides additional resources for the Capitol Police to keep the Capitol complex, members of Congress, staff, and visitors safe. The bill prioritizes the physical and cybersecurity initiatives of the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms to ensure that the Senate remains secure in an evolving threat environment. The bill invests in the Government Accountability Office to support the oversight role of Congress and ensure the proper use of taxpayer funds. This legislation also provides funding to maintain current services in the agencies that provide assistance to Congress, like the Congressional Research Service and the Congressional Budget Office. I am pleased to see the committee make progress on the FY 2025 bills. The American people deserve transparency, and the American people deserve accountability in our budget process. And this markup, well, it's a positive step towards that goal. In closing, I'd like to thank Chairman Reid's staff, Richard Braddock and Caitlin Hamilton, and my staff, Lucas Agnew and Molly McCarty, for all their efforts on the bill. I would also like to acknowledge the hard work of the dedicated professional staff from two of our legislative branch agencies, CBO and CPO and GPO, to help produce this bill and report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Fisher. I'll turn to Senator Reid for a manager's package.
Madam Chair, I have a manager's package. This manager's package has been distributed to each senator, and the provisions have been cleared on both sides. I ask that the committee adopt the manager's package by voice vote.
Are there any objections? Without objection, the manager's package is agreed to. Are there any members wishing to speak or offer an amendment on this bill? Senator Manchin, did you? Senator Manchin.
Chair Murray and Ranking Member Collins, I want to thank you all for your leadership again this year. Appropriation process through the regular order again, and I think it's commendable that you all work so hard in your staff, so I really appreciate working. My staff has appreciated working with all of you. As you know, I've long called for the return of regular order to pass our appropriations bill on time. Our reliance on continuing resolutions, CRs, unnecessarily cost billions of dollars, only adding to the deficit as we talk to all the agencies and departments. I was pleased that the Fiscal Responsibility Act included incentives to return to regular order, as well as top lines that are roughly consistent with my call to cap spending at 1% each year. And I appreciate that the three bills before us align with those top lines. I want to applaud the subcommittee chairs and ranking members in the three subcommittee bills before us, including Senator Heinrich, Hoven, Sinema, Bozeman, Reid, Fisher, for working in a bipartisan manner to achieve this. However, it became clear last year the details of the debt limit deal were made intentionally murky, including a number of handshakes, side agreements, and that I hope will not repeat this year, and I'm sure they won't. West Virginians want us to do our jobs and be honest with them, not to play part of politics with the national debt. As of this morning, the national debt was a staggering $34.8 trillion. That's almost $3 trillion more than this committee met the last year to kick off the fiscal year 2024. Our national debt was $14.1 trillion in February 2011. In the time since, we have added more than $20 trillion to that total with bipartisan enthusiasm. That's over $94,000 for every American. Never in the history of our nation have we so quickly amassed so much debt, and several presidents in both parties play a major role in getting us to this position. The best way that we can avoid CRs is to allow the annual appropriations process to move forward, and for that reason, I support 302B as we have top-line spending levels before the committee today that are consistent with the bipartisan debt ceiling goal. My grandfather liked to say, unmanaged debt will lead you to make cowardly decisions. We can't keep making cowardly decisions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any other senators who wish to be recognized on this bill? If not, that bill will be reported as amended. I want to thank Senators Fisher and Senator Reed for all their hard work. We will now turn to consideration of the Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration and related agencies appropriations bills. And I do want to thank Senators Heinrich, Senator Hoeven, and all their staff for their work on this important bill. This bill provides essential new resources to ensure the safety of our food supply, invest in agricultural research, and support rural communities and more. I'm especially pleased we were able to fully fund the rental assistance for families in rural areas, and that we fully funded WIC, something I couldn't feel more strongly about. It is really, truly a lifeline for our families. With that, let me turn it over to Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Chair Murray. I'm pleased to present the fiscal year 2025 appropriations bill for Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration, and related agencies. I want to thank you, Chair Murray, and Ranking Member Collins for your work to get us here as we begin the appropriations process for fiscal year 2025 in the Senate. And I also want to thank Ranking Member Hoeven for our good working relationship and for his input in this bill. Our continued partnership made this a truly bipartisan bill. The bill before us supports American farmers and ranchers, protects our food supply, increases market transparency, and promotes the health and well-being of the youngest and most vulnerable Americans by reducing poverty and food insecurity. I'm especially pleased that we were able to fully fund the WIC program again this year. WIC is one of our most effective programs in reducing childhood hunger and improving the long-term success of children and their families. It provides nutritious foods and important services during our children's earliest critical periods of development. This bill will ensure roughly 7 million women, infants, and children who depend on WIC will receive this vital benefit. As the appropriations process unfolds, I am committed to monitoring participation and food costs so that we can provide enough funding to make sure that all eligible families who seek help from WIC can be served and receive the program's current science-based food benefits. Hunger knows no boundaries. For a whole host of reasons, from climate change to major international conflicts, we are experiencing unprecedented rates of global hunger. This is why I'm pleased that we include a $101 million increase for Food for Peace and a $10 million increase for McGovern-Dole to support America's moral leadership to reduce hunger abroad and to ensure that all individuals have adequate, safe, and nutritious food, regardless of where they live. I'm also very proud that this bill includes a $68 million increase for conservation programs through USDA. The bill also includes important funding for rural America. The bill ensures rental assistance is fully funded so that those who rely on this program don't lose their housing or see untenable rent increases. The Food and Drug Administration receives a $22 million increase in this bill. We must ensure that this agency continues to protect the safety and the reliability of our nation's food systems, and that the FDA has the resources to evaluate and approve drugs and medical devices based on science and efficacy. I also want to briefly mention the importance of us working together to pass a disaster supplemental as soon as possible. Fires and flooding have devastated communities in New Mexico, and they need resources from the Disaster Relief Fund, as do many other communities throughout the country. Just as we have worked together on this bill, I'm confident that we can work together on a disaster supplemental. That said, for today, my focus is our Agriculture, Rural Development, and Food and Drug Administration Appropriations Bill. I believe we've written a very good bill that protects many of our priorities and continues our strong support for rural communities. There are many other areas in this bill that I am proud of, but for now, I want to again thank Ranking Member Hoeven and his staff, Morgan Ulmer, Daniel Mencher, and Alex Schultz. I also want to thank my staff, Diane Neller, Rachel Erlbacher, Claire Wengrod, and Caitlin Hamilton. They worked in a bipartisan manner under an extremely short timeline, and I thank them for their good work in developing this bill. This is an excellent bipartisan bill. It reflects the type of work that we can produce when we work in regular order on this committee, and I would encourage all members on both sides of the aisle to vote for it.
Thank you, Senator Heinrich. Senator Hoeven.
Thanks, Chair Murray, and I'd like to also thank the subcommittee chairman, Martin Heinrich, for his approach on this bill. It's been very bipartisan. I think we've worked hard, and this is a good bill. I also want to thank you and Ranking Member Collins on the full committee. You gave us a good allocation. Right at the outset, Senator Kennedy talked about the issue with the 302Bs, and that's tough. I get it. Important to note that none of the three bills that we're considering today have any of the emergency funding in there. And so I think really in terms of getting started, it's good that we're getting started. And we can make adjustments as we go. So I want to thank both of you for that and for the 302B allocation that we got. All in, it's about 3% more than we had last year. But when we talk about a farm and nutrition bill, we got to remember that it affects every single American every single day. You know, the other 302Bs are important. I'm a little biased. I think this is the most important because it affects every single American every single day. We have the highest quality, lowest cost food supply in America. And we take that for granted at our peril, right? And what keeps that going? That network of family farms and ranches across this country, 16 million people involved directly or indirectly in agriculture, is we've got a great farm program. But it benefits everybody. And so that's why this bill is so critically important. And I want to thank you for that. Right up top, one of the key priorities for me is research. We actually put $50 million more into research. That pays huge dividends for everybody. And so I want to thank the subcommittee chairman for his work on that. That's just critically important. He touched on a lot of the other important areas. We did fully fund WIC, which is, I know, a huge priority for him and for many others, and that's not easy to do. FDA, critically important, made sure that we provided the resources for them to do their important job. Rural development, again, affects everybody out in rural America across this great country. So with that, I mean, people think of ag as kind of a monolithic thing, but it is so diverse across the 50 states. And so to get out there and do the things that we need all the way from the fishermen in Maine to the winemakers in California, and of course we all think of the heartland and farm country out there. I mean, this affects everybody, and it's vitally important. So thanks for that. So thanks to both of you, but I also want to express not only my appreciation to Senator Heinrich, but also his staff, Diane Neller, Rachel Erlbacher, and Claire Weingrod, and my crew, certainly Dan Menser and Alex Schultz, and also Morgan Ulmer, who's with us in spirit because she's on maternity leave, and she's fabulous. But we got a great crew. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Sorry, that would be the winemakers in Washington State, but that's, okay.
You know that, I think it's Chateau Ste. Michelle you make in Washington State, Chardonnay? Perfect. Great stuff.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. And Senator Heinrich, I understand you have a manager's package that you want to adopt.
Yes, Madam Chair, there is a manager's package. It's been agreed to by both sides, and it's in front of you on the table.
You want to move that?
Move that forward.
If you could make a motion to...
Motion to approve.
Are there any objections? Without objection, manager's package is agreed to. Are there any members who wish to speak or to offer an amendment? If no amendments, this bill will then be reported as amended. Again, thank you to both of you and to all the committee. Finally, we will turn to consideration of the Military Construction, Veterans Affairs, and Related Agencies Appropriations Bill. I want to thank Senator Sinema and Senator Bozeman and their staff for their incredible work on this important bill. When it comes to our military strength, there is nothing more valuable than our women and men in uniform. We have to make sure we are doing right by our service members, their families, and our veterans, which is why I'm very pleased we have a bill that delivers essential investments in upgrading child care centers and housing, funding medical care and benefits for our veterans, and a lot more. So thank you to both of you, and I will turn it over to Senator Sinema for her opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Chair Murray and Vice Chair Collins. This bill represents bipartisan support for our service members and veterans and their families. It enhances our military readiness and the quality of life for service members and their families, and it funds quality care and benefits for our nation's veterans. For the Department of Defense, it provides $19.3 billion in military construction funding, $1.76 billion over the budget request. Now, these funds will go towards critical infrastructure requirements that support our service members at home and abroad, improve our security, including airfield and shipyard improvements, training ranges, and hangars. The bill also includes funding for troop and family housing, child development centers, schools, and other quality of life facilities, because taking care of our service members at home and abroad is critical to protecting our national security. The bill supports the military's efforts to enhance its energy resilience and to plan for and mitigate the consequences of climate change and extreme weather events. The bill also includes funding for environmental remediation, which includes addressing PFAS contamination at BRAC installations. Importantly, the bill also includes nearly $1.3 billion in military construction projects requested by senators who've heard from the military installations in their communities about critical infrastructure requirements. For the VA, the bill provides over $129 billion in discretionary funding so the department can provide health care for 9.2 million veterans and disability benefits to nearly 7 million veterans, survivors, and their families. It also includes mandatory funding to support veteran benefits, including $210 billion for fiscal year 2025 and $222 billion for fiscal year 2026. This bill invests in rural health, women's health, and research. It allows the VA to hire additional claims processors to address the claims backlog, including claims that are resulting from expansions of eligibility related to toxic exposures and the PACT Act. It funds construction grants for state homes and state cemeteries above the level requested by the administration. The bill also appropriates $131 billion in discretionary funds for veterans' medical care in fiscal year 2026. All of these critical resources will better ensure our nation's veterans receive the care and benefits they've earned. This bill provides funding for the American Battle Monuments Commission, the U.S. Court of Veterans' Appeals, the Armed Forces Retirement Homes, and Arlington National Cemetery, including construction funding to ensure the cemetery can continue to be operational for decades to come. I'd like to thank Ranking Member Bozeman for working with me in a spirit of bipartisanship to develop this bill. I'd also like to thank the non-designate staff for all the diligent work that they do behind the scenes to produce this bill and report. I'd especially like to thank the subcommittee staff of both the majority and the minority for the dedication and the professionalism they demonstrated in finalizing this mark. I know that this mark is much stronger because of their efforts, so thank you. And thank you, Chair Murray.
Thank you, Senator Sinema. Senator Bozeman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm happy to join Senator Sinema in presenting the fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026 budget recommendation for the Department of Veterans Affairs and for the Department of Defense Military Construction. I want to thank Senator Sinema and her staff for being great partners with me and my staff. As has historically been the case, this subcommittee is among the first to mark up a bill, and I'm proud to get the fiscal year 2025 appropriations process started. As in past years, this subcommittee crafted the bill in an open and bipartisan way, and I expect to continue that today as we move to the floor for consideration. This bill takes into consideration the needs of our veterans, their families, and service members. Within that framework, we have created a thoughtful path forward for both departments and our related agencies. This bill provides $148.8 billion in discretionary spending, which is $5 billion less than last year's level. Within that, the Department of Veterans Affairs is provided $129.2 billion in discretionary funding, which is $5.6 billion less than last year's level. Included in that level is $112.6 billion for veterans' medical care. I have to point out, as I have before, that the budget request this year is not without risk. It assumes VA will have $12.7 billion in available multi-year carryover funding available at the beginning of fiscal year 2025, and that VA will spend $11.4 billion of that amount. While this may bridge the gap between planned obligations and requested funds, it doesn't leave the VA with much of a buffer for its volatile medical care accounts. This bill does fund priority accounts to prevent veteran suicide, increase rural access to health care, support critical mental health programs, prevent veterans homelessness, and provide funding for innovative medical research. The bill provides $19.3 billion to support military construction and family housing needs, $632 million over last year's level. This bill will give the Department of Defense the resources it needs to project power globally, enhance our warfighting capabilities, and train our forces. This bill also provides $2 billion to improve housing and quality of life for service members and their families. I also note that the bill includes $390 million for our related agencies, which include the American Battle Monuments Commission, the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, Arlington National Cemetery, and the Armed Forces Retirement Home. I want to thank you and Vice Chair Collins for your support in helping us to accomplish these important goals and for your leadership on this committee. Again, I want to thank Senator Sinema for her partnership in crafting this bill, as well as her staff, Michelle Dominguez, Jason McMahon, and Dylan Bird. I also want to thank my staff, Patrick Magnuson and Jennifer Beston, for their incredible work in shaping this bill. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you very much. Senator Sinema, you have a manager's package.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have a manager's amendment package that's been cleared by both the majority and the minority. It contains a technical change to the report, administrative provision, and some additional reporting requirements, and I ask unanimous consent for its adoption.
Are there any objections? Without objection, the manager's package is agreed to. Thank you to both of you. Are there any members wishing to speak or offer an amendment?
Madam Chair.
Senator Merkley.
Thank you. I offer the Veterans Equal Access Amendment. The only healthcare system in America where a doctor cannot discuss medical marijuana with patients, so in states where it's legal, is the veterans system. We're discriminating against our veterans. This is really unacceptable. This committee has approved this amendment in every single markup since 2015 for the last decade, because we want to have our veterans have the same fair access, the full range of medical advice that every other individual in America already has. So I'm happy to accept a voice vote, but I encourage broad and enthusiastic support for defending our veterans' medical care.
Are there any members who wish to speak to this amendment? If not, the senators requested a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments or members who wish to speak? Senator Brett.
Thank you, Chair Murray and Vice Chair Collins. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate all of the work that you two have done to get us back to regular order. You two continue to achieve what others believe is not possible, and the American people are the beneficiaries of your hard work. So thank you. To Chair Sinema and Ranking Member Bozeman, who are two of the very best in this body, I want to thank you and your staffs on the subcommittee for prioritizing the funding for several projects, military construction projects in my home state. I believe it's important not only for Alabama, but for our nation. And just want to tell you how much I appreciate the hard work that you all put in and your willingness to consider those. So thank you. I want to speak briefly today about a critical military construction shortfall at the Defense Intelligence Agency Missile and Space Intelligence Center, which is more commonly known as MISIC. MISIC is a DoD center of excellence focused on the analysis and assessment of foreign air and missile defense system, ballistic missiles, anti-tank guidance missiles, anti-satellite missile systems, and direct energy weapons. While MISIC is located in Huntsville, Alabama, it is of nationwide importance and is truly a crown jewel for our intelligence community. From a historic perspective, the Cold War strategy of mutually assured destruction relied heavily on MISIC's analysis to defeat Soviet air defense and anti-ballistic systems. Fast forward to present day, these highly trained scientists and engineers provide real-time weapon expertise to air crews and intelligence support personnel for operational planning, many of whom are directly involved in exploiting Russian weapon systems recovered in Ukraine and other locations around the world. Of concern today is the funding shortfall for MISIC's Phase 2 construction of its Advanced Analysis Complex. Without Phase 2 construction, MISIC will struggle to meet current scientific and technological intelligence needs for DoD and IC and the U.S. acquisition community. MISIC's Advanced Analysis Complex provides unique and critical infrastructure for existing operations, as well as additional power, computing, and laboratory space for modeling, simulation, foreign wars, and a dynamic, realistic, and very secure environment. Due to rising cost and unique facility requirements, the independent government estimate did not keep pace with the current cost of electrical and mechanical equipment, or identify the increased demands for skilled labor or specialized installation. More simply put, the cost of the required electrical package is now 200% more, and the mechanical equipment is 120% higher than previously estimated. The funding shortfall is approximately $94 million. I want to put that amount in context. Take a look around the world and what's happening. Our pacing threat, China, refuses to relent. The war in Ukraine continues, and our greatest ally, Israel, is shelled by Iranian-backed terrorists. The women and men of MISIC are at the tip of the spear to ensure that U.S. is the most lethal fighting force in the world and that we have what we need to defeat enemy weapons. We must ensure that we maintain our critical edge and that we understand the ins and outs of our foes' weapon systems before they use them against U.S. servicemen and women or our fellow Americans. So, Madam Chair and Vice Chair, I hope I can get your commitment that we can continue to work together through the conference process to just explore potential funding options for this critical national asset.
Thank you very much, Senator Brett. We will continue to talk and work with you on that. Are there any other members who wish to be recognized? Senator Sinema.
Thank you, Chair Murray. Just wanted to say to Senator Brett how much I appreciate her desire to ensure military installations in our state have the funding they need. And you have my commitment to work with you to explore options to address the needs for this project as we're moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other senators who wish to be recognized? Seeing none, this bill will be reported as amended. And with that, I will turn it over to Vice Chair Collins for a closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Today was a very strong beginning for the fiscal year 2025 Appropriations Committee process. We cleared 3 important bills: legislative branch, agriculture and FDA, and military construction and Veterans Affairs. And let me reiterate my thanks to Chairs Reed, Heinrich, and Sinema, and ranking members Fisher, Hoven, and Bozeman for their terrific work. I want to note that Senator Sinema is the newest member of our committee, and the fact that she had a bill ready for the very first markup is a testament to her ability as well as that of the ranking member. I realize
and
that
her predecessor who greased the skids, Senator Murray.
I passed it over to 2 very good people. I'm pleased.
A great tactful response there. I realize that we do face challenges in the days ahead, but I think all of us are motivated by a joint desire to do our work, avoid an omnibus, and prevent the FRA's CR penalty for triggering extremely detrimental cuts. Today bodes well for the future work of our committee, difficult though that will be. So I want to thank all the members of this committee and to Chair Murray particularly for her leadership, and also for all the staff. They put in countless hours working weekends, nights, holidays, you name it. And on my staff, I particularly want to thank Betsy McDonald and Matt Giroux for their leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. And I want to take a moment to thank everyone for their participation in this markup today. I really appreciate everyone's cooperation and all their hard work to make this happen. The senators, the chairs and vice chairs of the committees, and all of our staff really deserve a huge thank you, so I appreciate it. It has been a very long road here. We still have a journey ahead, but I know we're all determined to get this done because the stakes here really are real and they are meaningful. You know, families back home are counting on us to pass strong bipartisan bills that will make a positive difference in their lives. At a time like this, we cannot afford to cut families off from programs they rely on or box our nation in as our adversaries charge ahead, or let our global leadership and competitiveness fall victim to partisanship. Democrats and Republicans, we can come together. It is important that we show we can work together. It really matters, especially for this committee. So we are going to continue to charge full steam ahead and work to mark up a full suite of strong bipartisan bills and pass them into law. On that note, I want everyone to know I intend to hold our next markup in 2 weeks when we return from recess. With that, this committee is adjourned.